Hello, this is James Graff with Advisors Mortgage Group, here to bring you another Some Mortgage Minutes. This is a business edition. We're going to talk about the antitrust, the Washington showdown with the big tech companies, which I believe now are large enough to be the fourth or fifth largest. The top four tech companies could be the largest, fourth or fifth largest index or stock market in the world. So New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ, Japan's entire stock market are the only ones in the entire world bigger than the top four tech companies on the New York Stock Exchange, Dow Jones, and the NASDAQ. I believe, I'm not sure which is on which, but the four biggest companies are also the fourth or fifth largest stock exchange unto themselves. Each one of them could be their own country with GDP, et cetera, et cetera. Let's dive into it. Antitrust, the Washington showdown. Last week's big tech antitrust hearing represented, quote, a rare moment of united purpose, unquote, from lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, according to Wall Street Journal, which I have to mention is controlled by Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, I believe. While, quote, questions swung between the pet causes of the members, unquote, both parties seem to agree that big tech is too big. Representative Gerald Nadler, Democrat from New York, chairman of the Judiciary Committee, began his remarks of CEOs Jeff Bezos of Amazon, Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook, Sundar Pichai of Google, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, and Tim Cook of Apple, by comparing them to, quote, the railroad robber barons of old, unquote. Zuckerberg was asked about Facebook's 2012 acquisition of Instagram and emails intimating he would, quote, destroy Instagram if it resisted his overtures. Bezos was grilled about a journal article alleging Amazon used data from sellers in its marketplace to design competing products. Pichai, I hope I pronounced that correctly, I don't think I am, had to fend off many queries about Google's, quote, dominance of the online ad marketplace, unquote. There were a few detours. One Republican congressman mistakenly asked why Facebook had suspended an account owned by Donald Trump Jr. It was Twitter. But lawmakers, quote, kept circling back to the idea, unquote, that the power of these companies ought to be checked. Shall I editorialize here? Of course they should be checked. Of course they should be probably broken up. The world would be better off. The United States would be better off. These are not really U.S. companies. These are international, global conglomerates that need to be controlled and given less access to the United States federal government. And to break them up would be to make them less powerful and less able to access our own government, making laws for themselves through lobbying. That's enough for me. Sorry. Let's not get into our rant. Next, again, my opinions do not reflect those of Advisors Group. They do not reflect the opinions of the media groups, which I'll be mentioning in this article. Yes, both parties want to rein in big tech, according to the National Review. But, quote, notably lacking from the political theater was the current U.S. standard for antitrust, consumer harm, unquote. This is where it gets interesting to me. That's because in reality, these four companies offer many services for free, quote unquote, innovate rapidly and compete vigorously, often with each other, unquote. Lawmakers seized on Amazon's treatment of third-party sellers, but, quote, grocery stores, big box retailers, and department stores have used data from branded products, quote, to produce generics for decades. So it's not unprecedented that Amazon would do this. It's just the power with which the power they wield when they do it is unprecedented. That's my editorial. Let's keep my opinions to myself, right? And the practice. Quote, benefits consumers with more options at lower prices, unquote. Interesting point. Forget the old antitrust definitions, according to The Atlantic. Sticking to a narrow standard of consumer welfare won't fly anymore. Quote, the internet has allowed the creation of a new style of monopoly. Nobody escapes the pull of these dominant firms. I'll read that again. This is written by Franklin Foer in theatlantic.com. Quote, the internet has allowed the creation of a new style of monopoly. Nobody escapes the pull of these dominant firms, unquote. And their concentrated power is a threat to democracy. Congress now recognizes that, and lawmakers came prepared with tough questions. Quote, unlike the Zuckerberg fiasco in 2018, if you remember that, unquote. That was just it's the fox questioning the other fox that's in charge of watching the hen house. It's just, to me, it's a little bit crazy. You're having the people that are getting the money from these companies to run their campaigns to do the questioning. I don't want to comment too much. Again, that's my opinion. Sorry. Let's move on. The 5-hour deluge of probing questions, unquote, didn't shake investor confidence in the tech giants, according to the Washington Post. Stock analysts said they might have been more worried, quote, had there been a focus on anti-competitive behavior, unquote. But with many questions, quote, veering off topic, unquote, the markets shrugged off the show. Kind of a sad commentary of what's really going on. So it's a show, according to the Washington Post. Not really a hearing, not really getting to the point. Shares in all but Google surged a day after the hearings as the companies posted better than expected results for the quarter. Of course they will. Of course they will, under these circumstances. The companies themselves designed the circumstances for themselves. I shouldn't say that, but that's my opinion. The companies designed these circumstances to profit from them. That's a bad statement to make, but I believe that. Okay, here we go. Apple stock price rose more than 10% in a single day as analysts called it a winner in the hearings. Quote, the strong showing demonstrates how well the tech giants are positioned to withstand significant challenges, including the scrutiny of Congress, unquote. Scrutiny of your partner, basically. It's bizarre to me. There's no winning in this, really. The Department of Justice could question them. Sorry. And even the Department of Justice is starting to lose its polish and shine, being in that everyone pretty much agrees that I've listened to is the DOJ, the Department of Justice, is being used politically now. So it's no longer, it's tarnished, its image in most people's minds that understand what the DOJ has been for decades. Their image has been tarnished of late, I believe. That's my opinion again, based on other people's opinions. Sorry, moving on. The tech CEOs were eager to schedule the hearings before their earnings reports, according to The Verge. A few days later, and they might have faced accusations of, quote, pandemic profiteering, unquote. Is that what I just said? That's what I just said. They are profiteering from the pandemic. That is what they're doing. I can't see an argument against that. It's not that it's illegal, it's that it should be illegal. And they're also in charge of writing the laws that tell us whether it's legal or not legal. It's crazy in my opinion. Okay, I don't see an end to this personally. That's my opinion. Sorry. The face-off was messy and unsatisfying for many critics. But, quote, in an age when these tech CEOs can feel all but untouchable, quote, it still, quote, showed us the beginnings of accountability, unquote. That's rather unfortunate because I could go off on a tangent and discuss fintech, but I don't think I'm allowed to discuss fintech because I'm a employee of Advisors Mortgage Group. But I think everyone out there should keep in mind that humans care about other humans. Tech can give the appearance of caring. A robot can give the appearance of actually caring about you, but the person that designed that tech has given it that appearance, or hopefully the actual ability to care for your and think in your best interests. I don't know if that's possible. They can't even design a car to drive itself. I can drive my car and carry on a conversation about politics at the same time. So they're not even close to coming to AI. AI is very far away. I've read several books on the topic. AI is far away. And as long as they don't have AI, they do not have your best interest in mind ever. It's pretty much a ruthless scheme to profit off of you and take your money from you. I shouldn't say these things, right? It's my opinion, not that of Advisors Mortgage Group, not the opinion, although I share some opinions here. This is not the opinions given in this analysis of the antitrust showdown of the big tech that occurred in Washington. We'll talk about this more, I'm sure, for probably decades to come. So with that, I have to thank you for listening thus far. This has been James Graff with another Mortgage 12 Minutes, brought to you by Advisors Mortgage Group, which does not share any of these opinions I've given, does not share any of this opinions of the people which I have brought to light by commenting on what they're saying in the news medias. And with that, I have to thank you for listening thus far and hope that you have an absolutely wonderful day. Thanks again.